This is the body cam footage from Officer Dale Corrigan, badge number 7294, recorded on the night of October 26th. The timestamp in the lower corner glows a faint green. 20 hours, 13 minutes, and 42 seconds. The subject he is about to confront is Dr. Anaya Sharma Jones, a 7 months pregnant senior trial attorney for the United States Department of Justice, Civil Rights Division. She had just finished a routine prenatal checkup at Mercy General Hospital and, experiencing a moment of intense and painful bladder pressure common in late-term pregnancy, was attempting to use the public restroom in the main lobby. Officer Corrigan, working a private security detail for the hospital but wearing his full municipal police uniform, physically denied her access. He profiled her, based on her casual maternity dress and the color of her skin, as a vagrant attempting to use the facilities to do drugs. For the next 7 minutes, he would unlawfully detain her, verbally harass her, and physically block her path, ignoring her repeated pleas and explanations. The resulting federal lawsuit would cost the city and the hospital a combined $12 million in settlement fees. The criminal investigation, opened personally by Dr. Sharma Jones's division, would land Officer Corrigan in federal prison for 5 years, convicted under 18 U.S. C-242, the deprivation of rights under color of law. The shaky camera footage begins as he approaches her, his hand already resting on his holstered weapon, his mind already made up. The fluorescent lights of the hospital lobby hum over the quiet shuffle of feet and the distant, rhythmic beep of a machine. Anaya Sharma Jones feels a sharp, searing pain in her lower abdomen, a desperate signal from her body that she cannot ignore. She moves with a determined waddle towards the women's restroom, her hand protectively cradling her swollen belly. She's wearing a simple, gray cotton maternity dress and comfortable sneakers, her hair pulled back in a simple, elegant twist. She just wants a moment of relief before the long drive home. As her hand reaches for the restroom door, a large figure in a dark blue uniform steps directly into her path, blocking her way. The man is tall and broad, the fabric of his uniform stretched tight across his chest. The name tag reads D. Corrigan. "Hold on there," he says, his voice a low, gravelly rumble that seems too loud for the quiet lobby. "Where do you think you're going?" Anaya blinks, taken aback by the confrontational tone. "Excuse me," she asks, her voice calm and polite despite the urgency pulsing through her. "I'm just going to use the restroom." Officer Corrigan looks her up and down, a slow, deliberate scan that makes her feel like a specimen under a microscope. His eyes linger on her simple dress, her worn sneakers. The assessment is instantaneous and dismissive. "This restroom is for patients and hospital visitors only," he states, not as a point of information, but as an accusation. "I am a patient," Anaya replies, trying to keep her tone even. The pressure in her bladder intensifies, and she shifts her weight from one foot to the other. "I just finished my appointment with Dr. Chun, up in obstetrics. I really need to use the facilities." Corrigan lets out a short, derisive huff of air through his nose. "Right, Dr. Chun. 3rd floor." He says it as if she's just failed a pop quiz. "We've had a lot of problems with people loitering in here, using the restrooms to shoot up. You're going to have to move along." The implication hangs thick and foul in the air between them. He isn't just enforcing a rule. He is judging her, sentencing her based on a prejudice he doesn't even bother to conceal. The body cam footage jitters as Corrigan shifts his weight, planting his feet more firmly. He is a wall of armed authority. Anaya feels a flash of indignation, hot and sharp, but she pushes it down, focusing on the immediate, physical need. Panic is a luxury she can't afford. "Officer," she says, her voice a little tighter now, "I assure you, I am not here to cause any trouble. I am 32 weeks pregnant. I am a patient of this hospital. I have my appointment summary right here in my purse. Now, please, step aside." She makes a small motion to her bag, but Corrigan's hand tightens on his belt. "I don't want to see what's in your purse," he snarls, his voice dropping an octave. "I want to see you walking out that front door." Now his hostility is so disproportionate, so immediate, that it shocks her. This isn't about a restroom anymore. This is about power. He sees a black woman in plain clothes, and his mind has filled in the rest of a narrative she has no part in. A few people in the nearby waiting area are starting to look over, their quiet conversations faltering. A nurse at a nearby station glances up from her computer, her brow furrowed in concern. Their eyes meet Anaya's for a brief second before flicking away, unwilling to get involved. Anaya plants her own feet, a mirror of the officer's stance, though she knows how vulnerable she looks. "You have no legal right to deny me access to a public accommodation," she says, her voice gaining a new edge of precision. "This is a public area of the hospital. I have a legitimate reason to be here. Your actions are discriminatory." The word discriminatory seems to flip a switch in him. His face, already stern, hardens into a mask of contempt. "Oh, here we go," he scoffs, shaking his head in mock disbelief. "Playing that card, are we? I'm just doing my job. This area is restricted. Now, for the last time, leave the premises or I will be forced to place you under arrest for trespassing." He takes a deliberate step closer, using his physical size to loom over her. The camera angle tilts up, capturing the condescending sneer on his face, the glint of the fluorescent lights off his badge. Anaya doesn't flinch. She doesn't back down. The pain is a constant, screaming presence, but another sensation is growing stronger, the cold, familiar fury of a lifelong battle. She has spent her entire career fighting men exactly like this one, not on the street, but in federal courtrooms, armed with briefs and statutes. "On what grounds would you be arresting me?" she asks, her voice dangerously quiet. "I am lawfully present on the property. An arrest would be unlawful. It would be a false arrest and a violation of my civil rights." Corrigan laughs, a short, ugly bark. It's the laugh of a man who has never been successfully challenged. "You think your little law school words mean anything to me? I am the law here. You are a trespasser. That's all the grounds I need." He unclips the handcuffs from his belt, the metallic click echoing in the tense silence. "ID now? Or you're going in the back of my car." The situation has escalated to a precipice. The witnesses are now openly staring, their phones held loosely in their hands, not yet recording, but ready. The nurse has picked up her desk phone, her eyes wide with alarm. The pain in Anaya's abdomen is now a blinding, white-hot agony. She knows she cannot hold on much longer. But she also knows that backing down is not an option. To retreat now would be to validate his bigotry, to surrender her dignity. She meets his gaze, her eyes clear and unyielding. "You are making a grave mistake, officer," she says, her voice steady despite the tremor of pain running through her body. She slowly, deliberately, reaches into her large leather tote bag. Corrigan tenses, his hand moving from his cuffs back to his sidearm. Slowly, he commands, "Keep your hands where I can see them." Anaya ignores the command, her movements fluid and unhurried. She bypasses her wallet, her keys, her phone. Her fingers find the familiar shape of a small, hardbound leather folder. She pulls it out. It's dark blue, with a gold seal embossed on the front. She flips it open with a practiced flick of her wrist. The body cam lens automatically tries to focus on the object she holds up. On one side is a laminated card with her photograph, serious, professional. On the other is a heavy, gold-colored badge, bearing the familiar image of an eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, encircled by the words, "United States Department of Justice." "I am Dr. Anaya Sharma Jones," she says, and her voice is no longer that of a patient pleading for access. It is the voice of federal authority. It is the voice of command. "I am a senior trial attorney for the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice. My badge number is 08-771. And you, Officer Corrigan, are in a world of trouble." The shift in the atmosphere is instantaneous and seismic. It's as if all the air has been sucked out of the lobby. Officer Corrigan's sneer evaporates, replaced by a slack-jawed, fish-like gape. His eyes dart from the credentials to her face and back again, his brain struggling to reconcile the woman he had dismissed as a vagrant with the powerful federal ID she holds in her hand. The body cam footage shows his own knuckles, white as he grips his belt. A fine sheen of sweat breaks out on his forehead. That's not real," he stammers, but the words lack any conviction. He knows it's real. He has seen credentials like that before, in mandatory training sessions about federal jurisdiction, always held by grim-faced agents who looked like they could end a man's career with a single phone call. Anaya doesn't lower the folder. She holds it steady, a shield and a sword. "It's very real, officer. And this entire interaction, I trust, is being recorded on your department-issued body camera? She glances pointedly at the small lens on his chest. Excellent. That will make my report much easier to file. It will become Exhibit A. Her voice is cold and precise, each word a carefully placed stone building the foundation of his ruin. Let's review the facts, shall we? At approximately 8:13 p.m., you, while acting under the color of law, did willfully obstruct my access to a public facility. You did so without probable cause, basing your actions on what appears to be a discriminatory assessment of my race and attire. You have ignored my status as a patient of this hospital. You have threatened me with false arrest. You have attempted to intimidate a pregnant citizen who was in clear physical distress. All of these actions constitute potential violations of federal law, specifically 18 U.S. C-242, deprivation of rights under color of law. That's a felony, officer. One that carries a sentence of up to 10 years in a federal penitentiary. I should know. I prosecute these cases for a living. A man in a suit, the hospital administrator, is now rushing towards them, his face pale with panic. The nurse is on the phone, speaking in hushed, urgent tones. The Sergeant Corrigan reports to will be here in minutes. But right now, in this bubble of frozen time, it is just Anaya and the officer whose world is crumbling before his eyes. Now, hold on a minute, Corrigan pleads, his voice a pathetic whine. He holds his hands up, palms out, a gesture of surrender. There's been a misunderstanding. I was just following protocol. Anaya's expression is granite. There is no protocol that allows you to deny a pregnant woman access to a bathroom because you don't like the way she looks. There is no protocol that sanctions threatening a citizen with false arrest. What you call protocol, officer, the Department of Justice calls a pattern and practice of misconduct. And I am very, very good at my job. The hospital administrator, a harried-looking man named Peterson, arrives, breathless. What's going on here? We've had a complaint. He looks from Corrigan's panicked face to Anaya's composed, furious one. He sees the DOJ credentials, and his face drains of all remaining color. Oh God, he mutters. Anaya finally lowers her ID, tucking it back into her bag. The immediate physical need for the restroom has been overshadowed by the cold, clear imperative of her professional duty. But the pain is still there, a throbbing reminder of the vulnerability he tried to exploit. Your security officer, Anaya says, her voice ringing with authority as she addresses Peterson, but her eyes still locked on Corrigan, has just committed several federal offenses. I will require his name, badge number, and the name of his commanding officer. I will also be requesting all security footage from this lobby, as well as this officer's body camera data. The Department of Justice will be opening a formal investigation into this incident, this hospital's security protocols, and its relationship with the municipal police department, effective immediately. By this point, a police sergeant, a stocky, grim-faced man with salt and pepper hair, has arrived. He takes one look at the scene, the terrified administrator, the ashen-faced junior officer, and the calm, commanding black woman holding a DOJ credential case. And he understands instantly that this is not a routine call. This is a career-ending catastrophe. He walks directly to Corrigan, his voice low but carrying the unmistakable weight of command. Corrigan, what did you do? He asks, his eyes already filled with a weary resignation. Corrigan can only stammer, pointing a trembling finger at Anaya. She wouldn't listen, Sarge. I told her the area was restricted. The sergeant cuts him off with a sharp, disgusted wave of his hand. He turns to Anaya, his expression professional and apologetic. Ma'am, Sergeant Riley, I am Officer Corrigan's supervisor. I apologize for whatever my officer has done. Anaya meets his gaze. Sergeant Riley, your officer, acting under color of law, unlawfully detained me and denied me access to a necessary medical facility while I am in my 3rd trimester of pregnancy. He did so based on my appearance. He threatened me with arrest when I asserted my rights. His actions were not just unprofessional, they were illegal. I am an attorney with the Department of Justice, Civil Rights Division. She pauses, letting the full weight of her title settle. I will be in contact with your chief of police and the city attorney's office tomorrow morning to discuss this matter further. In the meantime, I expect Officer Corrigan to be placed on administrative leave pending a full federal investigation. The sergeant nods, his face grim. Understood, ma'am. He turns to his subordinate, and the body cam footage captures the full measure of his fury. "Corrigan, give me your weapon and your badge. You're on desk duty until this is sorted. Now get in the car." Corrigan looks utterly defeated, his bravado gone, replaced by the hollow-eyed terror of a man who has just thrown his entire life away. As he's led away, Anaya finally allows herself to lean against the wall, the adrenaline beginning to fade, leaving only the profound pain and a deep, bone-weary exhaustion. Mr. Peterson, the administrator, hovers nervously. "Ma'am, Dr. Sharma Jones, please, is there anything we can do?" "The restroom is right here." Anaya looks at the restroom door, the source of the entire conflict. The urge is gone, replaced by a wave of nausea. The thought of being in that small, enclosed space now feels suffocating. "No," she says quietly. "I think I'd just like to go home." The aftermath was swift and decisive. Anaya, with the full backing of the Attorney General, filed a Section 1983 lawsuit against Officer Corrigan, the city, and the hospital for violating her constitutional rights. The city and hospital, faced with the undeniable evidence of the body cam footage and testimony from multiple witnesses, chose not to fight. They settled for $12 million. The money was donated by Anaya to a national charity that provides legal aid to victims of police misconduct. But for Anaya, the civil settlement was secondary. Her primary focus was the criminal prosecution. Her division handled the case, though she recused herself from the trial team to avoid any conflict of interest. She was, however, the prosecution's star witness. On the stand, she was calm, precise, and unshakable. She recounted the events of that night, her voice never wavering as she described the humiliation, the fear, and the physical pain Corrigan had inflicted upon her. The body cam footage was played for the jury, its shaky, damning perspective filling the silent courtroom. Dale Corrigan's sneering face filled the large screen, his contemptuous words echoing off the chamber walls. His defense attorney tried to argue that it was a simple misunderstanding, a dedicated officer trying to keep his assigned area secure. The prosecutor, a colleague of Anaya's, dismantled that argument with surgical precision. This wasn't about security, she argued in her closing statement. This was about prejudice. Dale Corrigan didn't see a patient. He didn't see a pregnant woman in distress. He saw a black woman he deemed unworthy of respect, unworthy of belief, and unworthy of basic human dignity. He used his badge and his gun not to protect and serve, but to bully and intimidate. That is not a mistake. That is a crime. The jury took less than 2 hours to convict Dale Corrigan on all charges. At his sentencing, the judge, a stern-faced woman who had seen her share of civil rights cases, looked down at the former officer and spoke with quiet fire. "You took an oath to uphold the law, yet you used your authority as a weapon against the very people you swore to protect. You targeted a woman in a vulnerable condition and chose cruelty over compassion, prejudice over professionalism. Your actions are a stain on the badge you once wore and on the justice system as a whole. The law is not a tool for your personal biases. It is a shield for everyone. Today, that shield will be used to hold you accountable." He was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. Anaya was in the courtroom that day, sitting in the back row. Her daughter, Maya, born healthy and strong just 5 weeks after the incident, was at home with her husband. As she watched the bailiffs lead a shackled Dale Corrigan out of the courtroom, she felt no sense of triumph, only a profound and somber sense of justice finally, painstakingly, served. The case became a national story, a flashpoint in the ongoing conversation about race and policing. The body cam footage went viral, a stark and undeniable example of bias in action. For Anaya, it was a painful, public chapter of her life, but it was also a validation of her life's work. She had become the very person she had dedicated her career to defending. And in the end, the system she had sworn to uphold, a system that so often fails people who look like her, had, in this one instance, been forced to work.